Body Melt, 1993, Philip Brophy, director. It's an Australian, I guess you'd call it kind of an Australian exploitation film. I guess they call them Ozploitation or whatever. It's kind of a horror film, but then kind of like, like a Tim Burton type of, only the type of movie that would come out of the early 90s, like this weirdo movie about kind of a social commentary, but then there's also some weird, gross out special effects. And so, there's all kinds of weird stuff about it. Basically, it's about this mysterious, evil, big corporation, Vimoville, or whatever they call Vimaville, and they're sending out these health pills, and they're experimenting with these neighbors in this little cul-de-sac in this Australian suburb. And basically there's this guy who has his family, and he's like a health nut, and then there's these two young guys, like bro dudes, like early 90s bro dudes, and then there's a young pregnant mother and her husband, a young couple, and then there's this older guy who's like some kind of record producer, and they're all giving these people these drugs that cause their bodies to be enhanced. They're kind of, that was a weird, vague part of my movie. The movie is that you never really kind of explain. It's like they talk about body enhancement, and so the idea is it seems like some kind of a commentary on people's need to be healthy, and health food and health pills, body modification, trying to make the body more into something that it's not, something bigger. But what it causes is all of these strange kind of mutations. As the doctor who dies spectacularly at the beginning of the film tells us, first there comes hallucinations, then glandular issues, and then and then he's and the poster says, and then you melt. It's like first body, first hallucinations, then glandular, then So the people in this movie, the record producer dude has all these weird hallucinations, possibly about the wife that he missed, and there's this weird thing where he's pushing his stomach down, and then the wife, the young couple, the wife is having these weird hallucinations and are pregnant. Weird things are happening with the kid. The guys don't really have any hallucinations. The two bro dudes, basically, I think they're trying to. And it's very vague in the movie, but they're being used as some kind of sperm donors or something. It's a really weird. They go into the country drive. They're about to drive to the evil medical institution, but it seems like they get waylaid by this Hills Have Eyes family, which is. It just goes into this weird detour in the story, and this weird Hills Have Eyes family who is run by this guy Pud, who is played by Vince Gill, the Knight Rider, the same dude who played the Knight Rider, and in Mad Max he's back in the scene, but he has some tricks up his sleeve. He's a weird guy, and again he's doing body modifications, taking the body modification drugs and stuff. But we find out he's like the Vagrant. He's got in that movie, The Vagrant. He's got some tricks up his sleeve, and stuff's going on here. And there's like this. I don't know. I'm kind of spoiling it for you, but seems to be this rival between these two doctors. This guy, I guess spoiler alert. This guy Pud. And the other doctor, this Dr. Carreras, who is the medical doctor for, I guess just the young couple. It's a very weird... The movie is apparently based on these short stories that the director, Philip Brophy, wrote. So it does have this kind of weird episodic feel where we've got all of these different characters going out in different places. The special effects by Robert McCarran, who was like Australia's premier special effects guy. He worked on all of those Ozploitation, Brian Trenchard Smith films. They are gory and gooey, and they belong in a Fangoria cover. You know, they are just create these. It's, you know, I don't even know what happens with it. The idea behind Body Melt is it's more like Body Explode, but that wouldn't be a good title. The bodies don't really melt. They're more, it is, I guess it's body melt, body goo. There's lots of goo. There's lots of pus. There's lots of, the idea is kind of like this health pill causes parts of your body to kind of grow to like an extraordinary degree. Like your tongue will grow and become the size of your fist, or different things inside your... I mean, that first kill where his neck splits open and the things come out of his... I don't know if it was like vein, what it was supposed to be veins or something, but it was like this sweet potato strands. It was so funny. I just described, because it's so like peekaboo. It's like your internal organs just kind of come out of your body and say peekaboo. It's like ridiculous. It's like some kind of strange, you know, like Tim Burton, like Peter Jackson type of gore type of thing, you know. But it's within this whole range of social commentary, and there's so many different characters and weird stuff and body parts going all over the place, and goo and all kinds of like Hills Have Eyes, like, you know, families and people getting holes shoved up. I don't want to spoil it. It's just, it gets weird. It gets wacko. It gets to the edge of almost kind of like, you know, we're trying to do a cult film. It's almost trying to like calculated stuff, and it gets a little bit, I don't know if that's that great. But the whole, I mean, it's so... It's difficult to put in a box. The movie is definitely difficult to put in a box. It's so wacky and so weird. It reminds me of that movie that these special effects guys made in the US called Over the Edge. Meet the Hollowheads. It was this movie that came out in the early 90s as well, about this family who lives in this post-apocalyptic weird movie with tubes. You know, and it's got special effects and crazy crap and Juliette Lewis and all that. And Body Melt is kind of like that. But, yeah, so it doesn't quite fit within... Well, I was about to say it doesn't fit within Ozploitation, but Ozploitation was always like, you know, Brian Trenchard Smith was always making these screwed up movies, and then other people like Thirst and Patrick, you're like, what the hell? This is kind of a little bit off, you know? They have their own little brand of exploitation film in Australia. Really interesting place. And the music too. I think the director did the music, and it's like early 90s like dance music, like boom chick boom chick boom chick boom chick boom chick doo 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 doo. It's like bleepy bloopy boom chick boom chick boom chick boom chick. That type of stuff. It was wild. I mean, I remember I saw it, and I was, again, Fangoria covered it. I think Gorezone did, maybe they did as well. And but it took years for it to come out. I never watched it on VHS. It came out on VHS eventually. And I've just caught up with it now because it's on Amazon streaming. And I think it's coming out, what is it? Is Severin or Vinegar Syndrome releasing it on the Blu-ray? I don't know. There's a new 2K restoration going on. But definitely a film worth checking out. A weird, wacky, wild movie with... The social commentary doesn't quite come through as much as like internal organs just jumping out and saying peekaboo. Something out of like Peter Jackson or Society or Tim Burton, that type of thing. It's a weird, wacko, gore, splatterfest kind of vibe. But oddly kind of like PG rated. It's not, you know, there's not really any nudity, right? It's really kind of just weirdness. But good.